Whiskers podcast is proudly sponsored by the Bunkers Hill Hockley. Don't miss Panthers game day offers, including Coors Light at £2.50 a pint.
Good evening all. This is an impromptu Cat's Whiskers podcast. We're outside the Bunkers Hill after, frankly, an embarrassing loss against the Sheffield Steelers, our nearest and dearest. A rivalry game which, you know, is beefed up to the hilt. And we're all a little bit frustrated. We're all a little bit angry. And we just felt it would be useful for us just to air our feelings about it. So the chief instigator of this podcast is going to start. So Ant, give us what you're thinking.
What am I thinking? Without swearing.
Yes, please.
I'm just disillusioned, disappointed. It's now absolutely chucking it down and we're still recording it. So I walked out with 10 minutes to go. Basically, when the Panthers goal that wasn't a goal was disallowed, I was on my way out. And as I was walking out, and this really worries me, as I was walking out, I realised I wasn't upset and I wasn't angry. And that really worries me about this season, is that I wasn't upset, I wasn't angry about losing 3-0 and it turned out to be 4-0 to our closest rivals. I just don't know what to say without going on an F or a B or a C rampage, you know what I mean? So, Aaron, what do you think?
I would just like to say that, you know, the 4-0 loss tonight was bad, but we're actually sponsored by the Bunkers Hill and they're actually playing Sweet Caroline right now, so I mean let's be honest.
This is a standing DJ.
Looking for a new sponsor next season, everybody. I walked out at 54 minutes, as Ant just, you know, described when he walked out. I don't know, what can you say, Tina? I'm looking at you right now asking for answers and you've got none, and I don't have any either.
No, I think it's kind of clear that, you know, the fan base doesn't have any answers. And one thing I said to Paul earlier when we first got into the pub was, anything that we might say tonight on a podcast, I think we've probably said it before. And we're all at a bit of a loss as to wonder, because we know that this Panthers team can do great things and they already have, but now they're not. Where's it gone?
Yeah, I mean I'm going to get absolutely battered for this, but I don't think we played that bad for half of that game, you know, 3/4 of the game. We just cannot score. We cannot score a goal. We are making Muskovs look like Henrik Lundqvist 10 times over.
Not the other night.
I don't get that. I mean, that's the 2 shutouts that he's had against us back to back. We didn't score against him in the Christmas period. I don't know. It's just you know, take end of the second, we have, you know, Brown has that fight, there's a bit of niggle, there's all that lot, and which I loved, to be honest. And, you know, full credit to Brown for doing that, because I thought it was needed. But I don't know, Tina.
No, and I think that's part of the problem, isn't it? That is part of the problem. You know, you mentioned the shutouts that we've given Mustakovs this season. One thing I do want to pick up on, I mean, you know, both teams seem to be suffering injuries at the moment. They've got bans and such. So, neither team can really, Panthers especially, can't use that as an excuse because, there are injuries on all sides. We are missing some key injuries. I mean, key to tonight is that Steve Lee was put out the game because of a major penalty, and Raphael Bussier had to fill in on defence. Had to. Now that's an absolute had to, because we were so short on defence. We didn't get Tetlow because he was playing for Bracknell. We didn't get Hazeldine. I'm assuming he was playing for Swindon. And I suppose through all of that, one of the key questions is, if we'd have got them, would they have even seen any ice time, Paul?
Well, they didn't. They didn't last time, did they? I mean, against Belfast, Tetlow sat there when we were short on defence then and just watched the game from a better viewpoint than everybody else. I really, really don't understand it. It's, what is the agreement we've got with them, and who negotiated it? That's the question. And if it's they get first dibs, then something's got to be done. But let's be clear here. Not having Tetlow didn't lose this game. Not having Steve Lee for the second and third periods didn't lose this game. An ability to score goals lost us this game. And this bizarre idea we've got that if we shoot straight at the keeper, Mustikov's ain't great, but he hasn't got a massive hole in the middle of his chest. That's where we put everyone in the box. Can you remember a single shot that we had that troubled him, that was on net? A single one.
How many breakaways did we have? And they basically skated within half a foot away from him and tried to put the puck past him.
Yeah. Yeah, wait, you know what? Well, Mustikov's is Mustikov's. You get him to move, he'll give you a gap. Yep. And we just weren't doing that. We lost this game tonight because we were outthought, outplayed by a team that ain't any great shakes. And this happens time and time again, season after season after season. I'm sorry, it's raining harder and harder and harder. You people don't know what we go through. You would not believe what we've gone through to do this, and maybe we shouldn't have done it, but hey. But something has to change because we're in Groundhog Day. We're in Groundhog season.
We've got another sellout tonight.
We've got a sellout in there tonight, right? How many people? There were blocks 1 and 2 at Sheffield. I mean, I remember when they used to bring 4, but that's irrelevant. 1 and 2 at Sheffield. But how many of those people in there actually cared? Half? You're full of the people who are far more interested in taking selfies and having a pint. Essentially, the Nottingham Panthers, if there's a league for being the pre-club destination on a Saturday night, we are the winners of that. Our crowds, we're full tonight, great. Half of them couldn't give a monkey's what happened.
Adam, we're going to wrap this up pretty quick because my phone's getting wet and I'm getting wet, and I'd quite like to get back inside and drown my sorrow. So, just thoughts on what everybody sort of contributed tonight.
Totally agree with everything that's been said. I'm being ushered towards the window because there's a bit of respite from the rain. I think tonight emphasised for me where this season's gone wrong. It's all about the promotion and not about the output. Tonight we yet again got shut out by our nearest and dearest from up the M1, and other than Jeff Brown fighting at the end of the period, and a couple of hard shifts and a couple of hard checks, there was nothing that we really offered. And I've got to say, I'm so disappointed by the way that this season's gone and the way that this Panthers roster has developed as the year's gone on. Because at the end of the CHL campaign, when we lost at home to Zurich, I thought that we had this league in the bag. You know, I might have been optimistic. You know, I might have been, you know, asking for something too much, but I thought that we'd shown as a roster every single asset that we needed to challenge for the league and, you know, certainly compete with Cardiff and Belfast. And the way that we've gone backwards since we got knocked out of the CHL is really, really dispiriting. And I just think that there's been so many chances to change things that we've missed. You know, change the course of the season, change the roster, maybe send somebody away, you know, gas somebody and bring somebody in. And Corey's played it safe.
No, I will stop you there. I mean, you know, that as I have already said on previous podcasts, it's very unlike the Nottingham Panthers to do that, and we have done it.
I agree.
We have done it.
I agree.
And that is the kind of thing you don't just do willy-nilly, because if you do that willy-nilly, then you do start to lose any kind of cohesion and any kind of consistency and continuity. I agree with you that we're probably still at the point where we do still need to change something now. And the other thing I would say is, at the moment, rather than gassing somebody and making changes, the biggest change we need is to bring somebody on in on defence. However, that's become critical while we've been looking for forwards. Absolutely. That we have been crying out for as a fan base. So, to the club's credit, they have searched for what we've needed at the time when they've needed it, and the defenceman situation has become very critical in a very short space of time. So that's not necessarily the full fault of the club.
No, I agree with that, but I still think that the way the season has gone since our Champions Hockey League exit has been really, really bad, because we've gone from feeling on top of the world to feeling like we can't even beat some of the lower lights in the Elite League.
Yes, and one thing I will say to add to that is that I am like the self-confessed happy clapper of the Cat's Whiskers podcast. I think I am
the only one,
I think of the seven of us, I think I'm the one who could most adequately be described as the happy clapper on the podcast. And even I am feeling really deflated. When we lost tonight, when that fourth goal went in, when that empty net goal went in, I felt nothing.
Well, why did
so
we
did
pull
I.
the keeper?
So did I. I'm fed up of the fact that this Panthers side cannot challenge consistently for a league title. It's got to lie with the coaching. It has to lie with the coaching, because, you know, other sides are up there year in, year out. You know, they're with a shout of winning the league title with 2 or 3 weeks of the season to go. We're miles back. You know, what are we, 7th? We're strong 7th tonight. And, you know, thankfully, we're just about making it into the playoffs this year, so we'll qualify for that. But if you look at how we were earlier in the season and, you know, how things are now, it really rips my heart out as a Panthers fan to see how we've gone from so high to so low, and it's so dispiriting. And I've got to think, what is happening within the club to remind the players of the fact that they were almost world beaters in the CHL, and now we can't even beat a bloody egg in the Elite League. It's so hard, and I've got to say, it's really pushing my sort of patience to the absolute limits with this Panthers team, because we should be doing so much better than we are, and you know, we're not, and it's going to end up being a really, really poor season.
And that comes to you from the Rant Master General, Adam Reddish. Aaron, you wanted to put something else in there?
No, I was just going to ask a question, really. But I mean, you know, we've talked. Basically, I think a lot of people ask the question of what's happened. You know, are we a team that overachieved in the CHL, or are we a team underachieving massively in the Elite League? Because if we say we didn't get through the first round of the CHL, we came fourth, you know, would anybody really be making the huff and the puff of what we are now? I don't think we would be, really, but because we've kind of you know, qualified, because, you know, broke record after record in the CHL, qualified for the last 16. There was so much expectation, and we have failed to deliver massively in the Elite League. So what is it? Did we overachieve in this HL, or have we massively underachieved in the Elite League, or are we just playing our level that we actually are? I don't know.
Yeah, and on that note, I think we'll leave it at that. Maybe we'll get some discussion on that for Ask TCW this week. Thank you very much to those of you that are listening. I'm going to wrap this up before it becomes completely farcical. And we'll be back on Monday for our review podcast, and Wednesday more than likely for Ask TCW, but we'll keep you informed of any changes. Cheers. Good night.
This edition of the Cat's Whiskers podcast was brought to you by the Bunkers Hill Hockley.